The ayes have it.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We'll start with Sangaire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a statement on the passing on of Honorable Janet Maranya Teya. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 259D2, I rise to pay tribute to the former Kajiado County Women Representative, the late Honorable Janet Maranya Teya. Honorable Speaker, the late Honorable Janet Teya passed on Monday, 7th April 2025. The late Teya was born on 28 September 1980 in Ilkilorit in Kajiado County. She began her education in Africa Inland Church Kajiado School in 1987 and sat for her Kenya Certificate of Primary Education in 1995. She later joined the Nomatasiani Secondary School and completed her Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education in 1999. She proceeded to pursue a certificate in accountancy technician in 2022 at the Masai Technical Training Institute. Noting that she lost her ability to walk at the age of 5, she bravely surmounted the obstacles that hinder persons living with disabilities, becoming a role model to many in her community. The late Honorable Teya built on her success by working up on uplifting the status of women and people with disabilities upon graduation. Honorable Speaker, the late Honorable Janet Teya joined politics upon nomination by the National Alliance Party, TNA, to represent the interests of those with disabilities in the House during the 11th Parliament. She bet all odds and she was elected as the women representative for Kajiado County in 2017. During her tenure in the 12th Parliament, she dedicatedly served in the Departmental Committee on Labor and the Committee on Regional Integration. The late Honorable Teya brimmed the epitome of resilience and advocated for persons with disabilities in the county and specifically in Kajiado County. After exiting politics, the late Honorable Teya joined the National Government Constituency Development Fund as a board manager, where she served until her untimely death. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of Kajiado County and the women leadership of this House, I extend our deepest condolences to the family of the late Honorable Janet Teya, the people of Kajiado County, and the nation at large. I pray that the soul of our departed colleague rests in eternal peace. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sangaire. Musa Sirma. Give Musa Sirma the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I join the Honorable Member for Kajiado in condoling of the passing of Janet Teya, who was a member of the National Constituency Development Fund Board. Mr. Speaker, Janet Teya appeared before our committee to vet her during our appointment by the Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, Teya was a very hardworking lady who did all what she could do to make sure that she attended all meetings and functions of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Board. We've met in several meetings, and she has been she had a lot of passion in serving that committee, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, on behalf of my committee, I wish to pass our sincere condolence to the family of Janet Teya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Dorothy.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I too would wish to join my chair, Honorable Leah, and the entire county of Kajiado for the loss of this great lady. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that this is a lady who defied all odds to do what she could do despite the condition that she lived with. This is a great encouragement to show that disability is not inability, Honorable Speaker. And I want to say, Pole sana to the family, and may God give them solace during this very difficult time as they mourn their loved ones. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Bukose,
Honorable Speaker.
a minute each, because I can say a few.
Honorable Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in mourning the passing away of Honorable Teya. Teya was nominated as a Member of Parliament in the 11th Parliament, and in the 12th Parliament she was elected as the Women Member of Parliament for Kajiado. Very hard-working, humble lady. She used to sit at the back there. And Honorable Speaker, may her soul rest in eternal peace.
Donya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From Kisii County, I also rise to send my message of condolence to Kajiado County. In most cases, Mr. Speaker, when people do the introductions and one says, this is my third term as nominated, it doesn't sink well with our ears. Because if you go through the history of Honorable Janet, she was only nominated once, and then the second time, she decided to fight for an elective seat. That's good news from what we are reading, and we tell the entire Kajiado County through a representation of Honorable Leah that may God be with the family and the entire county of Kajiado. Thank you.
Milemba.
Well, thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of myself and the people of Emuhaya and the Labour Committee of the 12th Parliament, I want to actually convey my condolences to the family of the Honorable Teya. Teya and I and others, Koyode, worked in the Labour Committee for 5 years during the 12th Parliament. And she was so determined, she attended all meetings, despite the challenges she had as a person living with disability. She still attended all the meetings, whether it was in Mombasa or all over the country. I want to pray that God gives the family strength to go through this business as we send her off. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Naomi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to also contribute to this as I send my condolences to the entire Kajiado County, the leadership and the family, on my own behalf and on behalf of Marsabit County and my family. Honorable Speaker, I interacted with the late Janet Marania in the 12th Parliament. She was so passionate, and especially on matters to do with the people living with disability and the minority. And it is my prayer that the family will be comforted and that her soul rests in peace. Thank you.
Korere.
Thank you, Speaker. I also take this opportunity to condole with the people of Kajiado. Indeed, Teya was a true description of a strength of a woman. Despite her being able differently, Speaker, we were nominated at the same time in 2013, and we served for 5 years. And in 2017, she ran in Kajiado and was elected. And Teya had strength. She had the passion to serve the people of Kajiado, and she was just what you could describe as a true powerhouse. May her soul rest in peace, and may perpetual light shine upon her.
Ferdinand.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the chance to say pole to the Kajiado people because Janet, we were together with her on 12th and the 13th and 14th and the 12th Parliament. And she was a very active member of this House. I just take this opportunity on my own behalf of the people of Kwanza and Trans Nzoia County to say pole to the family and may her soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Janet was a very strong, resilient, and pragmatic leader. Mr. Speaker, Janet was born to a pastoralist family. Mr. Speaker, you understand with the challenges that she faced, going to school at that particular time, and later on, clearly providing leadership. It's a clear demonstration that his ability is not inability. I want to join her family and say pole. And I hope many ladies from the pastoralist community, led by the chair of the parliamentary women caucus, will clearly emulate what Janet has done and ensure that many of our girls go to school and demonstrate this hidden leadership, God-given leadership. May her soul rest in peace.
Member for Embu County. Double N. I have one actually. Yes. Give double N.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want also to take this opportunity to mourn with the people of Kajiado County for the loss of their loved one. And on behalf of the Embu County community, I want to send my sincere condolences to the family and the entire county of Kajiado. And above all, as we recognize this great lady who against all odds was able to make good leadership in terms of what she actually did in the parliament. We are praying as parliament that indeed we may be able to emulate what she used to do and what she was able to achieve. And again, above all, I want to say that disability is not inability. She was able to do great things, and we are able to recognize today. So on my own behalf and on behalf of Embu County, my sincere condolences to the entire Kajiado community. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Women Rep Trans Nzoia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me this chance to eulogize with my colleagues and the family of Honorable Teya. And I must say that I didn't know her in person, but from what my colleagues have said, I must say that I'm proud of her, because being nominated the first time and you think of going for an elective seat after that, that is an encouragement, and that is what we are looking into any other member of parliament who is nominated, to make an effort to vie for those seats, so that we encourage others also to continue competing in these elective seats. With that, Mr. Speaker, I say may her soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Weda.
Asante Bwana Spika. Kwa niaba yangu, familia yangu na watu wangu ninaowakilisha Lamu Mashariki, natoa rambirambi zangu kwa familia ya Mheshimiwa Teya. Mheshimiwa tulikuwa naye bunge la 12 na tulikuwa kwa kamati moja. Alikuwa mtu mzuri. Natoa pole kwa familia na Mungu aiwezeshe kujaza ile pengo ameacha. Asante Bwana Spika.
Makali Mulu.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on my own behalf of the good people of Kitui Central, I also want to join my colleagues in sending my sincere condolences to the family of Mheshimiwa and the people of Kajiado County. Honorable Speaker, I served with the Mheshimiwa in the 11th Parliament and the 12th Parliament. In the 11th Parliament as a nominated member of Parliament, and the 2nd Parliament as an elected member of Parliament. And Honorable Speaker, just as colleagues are saying, the commitment which was demonstrated by Mheshimiwa when she was a member here, Honorable Speaker, is not expected of somebody living with disability. But she went out of her way really to show that commitment and serve faithfully the people of Kajiado County So, Honorable Speaker, I want to encourage those people who are living with disability, Honorable Speaker, to learn that disability is not inability, and they can actually do much more for this country. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, may our soul rest in eternal peace. Amen.
Thank you, honorable members. We'll end there. Honorable Teia, those who knew her like I did, was the true embodiment of the spirit of the strength of a woman. We campaigned with her, and even with her physical challenge, she was in every single political spot in Kajiado, campaigning with everybody else. Shall we be upstanding to give a minute's silence? May her soul rest in eternal peace. Amen. Before the next, allow me to acknowledge in the public gallery Little Lambs School from Ainabkoi Uasin Gishu. On your behalf and on my own behalf, we welcome the Little Lambs to the House of Parliament. We go on with the statements. Honorable Kakai Bissau.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to seek for a statement from the Chairperson of Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the disappearance and subsequent death of Miss Lydia Tokeshi Buhala. Honorable Speaker, on January 7, 2025, Mrs. Lydia Tokeshi Buhala of ID number 3461-3679 was reported missing in Nairobi, only for her body to be found dumped in Gataga Forest in Rongai. On 9 January 2025, a vehicle was discovered abandoned in Riruta with visible bloodstain and vomit inside. Raising concerns on the circumstances of her disappearance and subsequent death. This necessitated a forensic analysis of the evidence found in the vehicle in relation to her disappearance and subsequent death. The matter was recorded at Riruta Police Station under OB number 34/07/1/2025. And an initial response made by officers from Kilimani and Kabete police stations. Honorable Speaker, Mrs. Buhala's family is concerned on the timelines and effectiveness of police actions in addressing this distressing case. Additionally, they are concerned by the reports from authorities that Mr. Joseph Philip Orwa, who was identified as a person of interest in connection with the disappearance and tragic death of their kin, has been missing from his Nairobi residence. This has raised questions on his whereabouts and whether law enforcement agencies have taken sufficient action to locate and arrest him to assist with the investigations. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the Chairperson of Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. 1. The steps taken by the security agencies on the matter of the disappearance of Ms. Lydia Tokeshi Buhala on 7 January 2025, including actions taken by Kilimani and Kabete police stations to investigate the case. Second, the progress of investigation into the circumstances surrounding Mrs. Buhala's disappearance and abandonment of her vehicle in Riruta with blood stains and vomit inside, and whether forensic analysis was conducted on the scenes. Thirdly, a report on the whereabouts of Mr. Joseph Philip Orua, a person of interest identified by the family of Mrs. Bukhala as a key suspect in the matter, and findings of the police on his connection with the disappearance and subsequent death of Mrs. Bukhala. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, measures in place to support families of missing persons during investigations, including coordination between different police stations and the role of forensic technology in identifying and tracking movements of potential suspects. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair, Administration and Internal Security. Kangara, you are holding brief for your chairman?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Bring a response in 2 weeks.
2 weeks time, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member for Funyula, Ojambo Oundo, Doctor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Energy regarding the operations of Kudura Power East Africa in Western Kenya. Honorable Speaker, Kudura Power East Africa Limited is a Kenyan enterprise specialized in the development and operation of renewable energy mini-grids in Western Kenya. Its primary focus is providing reliable and affordable electricity and clean water to rural communities. However, despite such a commendable initiative, the residents of Sidonge A, Diraho, Rukada, Mahurisi, Mudorko, Wiri A and B, Namagumba, Mugonga, and Muhondo and Funyula constituency have raised concerns on the contributions of the project to enhancing growth of the local communities. It's observed that the power supplied by Kudura is unreliable during the rain seasons and sufficient for heavy-duty appliances. In addition, a tariff of Kenya shillings 83 and 33 cents charged per unit is significantly high compared to the rate of 25 per unit charged by Kenya Power. Sadly, Kudura has bad residents connected to their power supply from subscribing to alternative power providers to meet the electricity needs. Honorable Speaker, it's against this background I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Energy on the following. One, a report on the regulatory framework under which Kudura Power East Africa Limited is operating, generating and supplying power in Western Kenya. Two, the agreement on leases granted to Kudura Power to impose tariffs on power supplied and steps being taken to regulate such charges. Three, timelines within which Kudura will upgrade the infrastructure and ensure continuous and uninterrupted supply of power to homesteads. And finally, Honorable Speaker, a report on the terms of agreement between Kudura Power East Africa Limited and the government, including whether the terms are subject to review to allow alternative service provider to supply power alongside Kudura. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair Energy. Where is Gikaria? Member of committee. Majority Leader. Majority Leader. Direct the Chair Energy to bring this response in 2 weeks.
Most obliged.
Yes, Donya. What is it?
I don't think if we can give the answer in 2 weeks.
Why?
I made a statement before we went for recess. He said he was going to give in 2 weeks. It was ending today. He's not even in the House, Mr. Speaker. So I doubt if they will give that feedback in 2 weeks. Thank you.
We will direct him to do so in 2 weeks. Is the Vice Chair of Energy here, I'm told?
Yes.
Aramat.
Yes, yes.
You can hear those aspersions against your committee?
Yes, I will.
Of your inability to bring a statement in accordance with your promise to the House.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we will...
bring a response to Honorable Donya's request on Thursday, and this one in 2 weeks.
No problem, Mr. Speaker.
Next, Kakuta Maimai, member Kajiado East.
What's up, everyone? This is David. How are you all doing? Hey, I just want to pass on this.
Honorable Speaker,
okay? If
pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Lands regarding the alleged fraudulent and irregular transfer of public land number 67, Isinya MRTC Demonstration Farm. Honorable Speaker, members of the Mboloi Group Ranch community have raised concerns over the illegal and fraudulent alienation of this public land, parcel number 67, within Isinya town. It is alleged that this public asset has been unlawfully transferred to a Mr. Sironga Olelemite of ID number 0790473. Official records indicates that Mr. Lemite listed as member number 197 in the Mboloi Group Ranch register was allocated land during the official subdivision of the 60,000 acre range, where he was issued parcel number KAJ/Captain North/712, measuring 158 acres. It is reported that he later willingly sold the land to multiple individuals. Honorable Speaker, during a meeting convened by the Isinya Sub-County Security Committee, they said Mr. Lemite confirmed that the land in question had changed ownership with the knowledge and assistance of key public officials, including the former Kajiado County Council and the Kajiado County Executive Committee member for lands. This raises serious concerns about potential abuse of office and collusion in the illegal misappropriation of community land, calling for justice and protection of the ancestral land for members of the Mboloi Group Ranch. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Lands on the following. 1, a report on the steps that the Ministry of Lands is taking to investigate the fraudulent transfer of parcel number 67 in Kajiado County, Isinya MRTC Demonstration Farm. 2, measures being put in place by the Ministry of Lands to reverse the illegal transaction and restore the land to its rightful public status. And 3, actions being taken to bring to account public officers involved in facilitating illegal transfer of public land to prevent similar cases. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Chair Lands. Lands Nyamoko. Any member of that committee? Lands Majority Leader. Inform them to bring a response in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Yes.
It is hard if this land in Isinya can be transferred fraudulently, Honorable Speaker. I'll ask the chair or the vice chair to bring it in exactly 2 weeks.
Thank you. Response to a statement requested by Joseph Munyoro, MP Kigumo. Kahangara, you said you are holding brief for your chairman.
Yes,
so
Mr.
go
Speaker.
ahead and respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to respond to a statement regarding the disappearance of persons. The Honorable Member of Parliament for Kigumo constituency, Honorable Joseph Munyoro, requested a statement on the disappearance of persons, and the Honorable Member particularly sought to be informed of 1, the whereabouts of Mr. David Gitau Maina, Mr. David Jehia Macharia, Mr. James Mboro Karaoke, and Mr. Patrick Karanja Gitau, and the status of investigations by police on their disappearances as reported at the OMB numbers 10-01-01-2025, 10-29-12-2024, 29/8/1, 2025, and 14/01/225, respectively. Also, number 2 is actions being taken by the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to ensure that the said persons are expeditiously traced and reunited with their families, and perpetrators of the disappearances are brought to book. Measures put in place by the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to ensure the safety of residents of Mareira sublocation in Kegumo constituency. And number 4, plans put in place by the ministry to provide more vehicles to Kegumo police station to facilitate security. And I wish to state as follows. 1, disappearance of David Gitau Maina. Honorable Chair, Speaker, on 1st January 2025, Stephen Maina Gitau reported the disappearance of his father, David Gitau Maina, at Kegumo police station under OB number 10/01/01225. The report was officially circulated via Signal, Stapo, Kegumo reference KPS, KGM, KGMS, S and C3/81, dated 2nd of January 2025. The following day, he reported the matter to the DCI office in Kangari, seeking assistance in tracing his father. Efforts to contact Mr. David Gitau through his mobile numbers were unsuccessful, as all had been switched off since the day he disappeared. The numbers were forwarded to Safaricom and Airtel service providers for tracking via the county CRIB, that's Security Investigation Bureau office in Muranga, on January 2025. While Airtel's report yielded minimal leads, Safaricom's report indicated that Gitau's phone for that matter had been inactive since the 29th of December 2024. DCI officers from Kangare, alongside the complainant, visited Mareira Shopping Center, where Gitau resided. His house was found locked from the outside. Inquiries with residents, including business owners at Mareira and Gakira shopping centers, confirmed that he was last seen on 27 December 2024. On the 18th of February 2025, officers from DCI Kegumo, led by IP Inspector Kadurima, arrested one Brian Mwangi in Kirinyaga County after forensic analysis linked his Safaricom line 0705-331-598 to David Gitau's phone through IMI 3535-41094-001100. He was arraigned in court on 20th February 25 as a prime suspect in the missing of David Gitau and remains in custody. Notably, Gitau's motorcycle was not circulated in police records as the family failed to provide its registration number. Additionally, an inquiry file number 2 of 2025 has been opened, and family members continue to receive updates on the progress of the investigations. The case is pending is before court. Number 2, on the disappearance of Daniel Njehia Masharia, Honorable Speaker, on the 29th of December 2024, Jane Nyambura, accompanied by a relative, Julius Njogona, reported the disappearance of her husband, Daniel Njehia Masharia, at Kegumo Police Station through OB number 10/29/12/224. They stated that he had left home for work on the 27th of December 2024 and had not returned. The report was circulated via Stapo Kegumo, reference number KPS KGM KGMS S85C/3/80, dated 31st December 2024, and later lodged with DCI Kangare. Investigations revealed that his mobile numbers had been switched off. Requests for M-Pesa and Airtel Money statements were submitted through Kegumo Law Court Miscellaneous Application number A001/225. Safaricom's report showed his last M-Pesa transaction was on 25th December 2024, while no transaction had been reported on his Airtel line. DCI officers visited Greenview Bar in Ikombe, where Masharia was last seen. Statement from bar attendant confirmed his presence on 27th of December 2024, consistent with the family's report on when he went missing. Statements from family members have been recorded, and an inquiry file number 003/225 has been opened with updates provided to relatives accordingly. The case is pending under investigation. On the disappearance of James Mboro Karaoke, Honorable Speaker, on the 8th of January 2025, Ditex Ngure and John Kihara, residents of Irima Village, reported the disappearance of their brother James Mboro Karaoke at Kangari Police Station through OB number 29/8/01/2025. He was last seen at home on the evening of 1st January 2025. The case was circulated via Stapo Kangari reference KPS/KGM KGR S&C/7/2225 dated 11th January 2025 and escalated to DCI Kangari. His mobile numbers had been switched off, prompting an official tracking request through Safaricom service provider. The report indicated that his primary line was switched off on the 26th of January 2025, while the second was deactivated on 1st February 2025. A search mission in Kamukabi area, led by Murang'a County CRIB officers, yielded no conclusive findings. Statements from family members have been recorded. Inquiry file number 4225 has been opened as investigations continue. The case is pending under investigation. On the disappearance of Patrick Karanja Getao, Honorable Speaker, on the 14th of January 2025, Grace Kwamboka Karanja reported the disappearance of her husband, Patrick Karanja Getao, at Kakira Police Post at Daombi number 04/14/01225. She stated that her husband, a retired army officer, had left home on 7th of January 2025 and never returned. This case was formally circulated via Stapo Kegumo, reference KPS/KGM/S85C/3/80, dated 15 January 2025, and was later reported to DCI Kangari. His 3 mobile numbers were all switched off. Forensic tracking requests were submitted to Safaricom and Airtel, with reports confirming that 2 of his numbers were last active on the 6th of January 2025. On the 29th of January 2025, DCI officers led by Kangari Sub-County Criminal Investigation Officer visited Patrick's home and conducted a thorough search, but no significant findings emerged. Statements from family members have been recorded, and an inquiry file number 5 of 2025 opened. The case is still pending under investigation. On actions being taken by the Minister of Interior and National Administration to ensure that the said persons are expeditiously traced and united with their families, and perpetrators of their disappearances are brought to book. Honorable Speaker, investigations into all 4 missing person cases are ongoing, with efforts focused on forensic analysis, witness statements, and other leads. Arrests have already been made in the connection with David Gitao minor's disappearance, while the other cases remain under active inquiry. The police remain committed to resolving these matters and providing regular updates to the concerned families. On measures put in place by the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to ensure the safety of residents of Mareira sublocation in Kegumo constituency, Honorable Speaker, the government has employed the following measures to enhance security across the country. One is increased police patrol and presence, strengthening both foot and mobile patrols to prevent crime, or enforcing police visibility in key areas such as residential neighborhoods, marketplaces, and transport hubs. Number 2, establishment of anti-abduction squad. A dedicated response team has been formed which will be domiciled at DCI headquarters to swiftly handle reported abduction cases. On expedited investigation, the police will swiftly handle all reported cases, ensuring prompt arraignment in court of law of those found culpable to deter future criminal activities. On enhanced crime reporting channels, the public is encouraged to anonymously share crucial intelligence through the Fichua Kwa DCI toll-free hotline 0800-722-203, ensuring confidentiality in reporting of crimes and the safety of whistleblowers. On revitalizing community policing initiatives, reactivating inactive community policing committees to improve collaboration between police and the community, fostering information sharing and early identification of security threats. Plans put in place by the Ministry to provide more vehicles to Kegumo Police Station to facilitate security. Honorable Speaker, the government is procuring more vehicles to ensure or to enhance operational efficiency, effectiveness, and mobility within Kegumo Sub-County. And the planned allocations are as follows. I hope the member is listening. Sub-County headquarters will be allocated 1 motor vehicle, Kegumo Police Station 1 motor vehicle, Kangari Police Station 1 motor vehicle, Ngonda Police Station 1 motor vehicle, and Gidembe Police Station 1 motor vehicle. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kegumo is in the house. Yes, Munyoro.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thank you for the response. But I think one of the strangest things about these cases is that they've happened, all of them in one sublocation. And if you look at the answers given by the committee, they are only talking about pending investigations. In the case of David Gitau, he said that they've arrested someone who had his phone through a copy of the IME number. And I think it would have helped us to know what he's been charged with, whether he's confessed to either being part of the people that has caused the disappearance of Gitau, and whether he has any connection with the other disappearances. Honorable Speaker, they've talked about increased patrols in the region, and I would have liked to hear about the frequency, whether they've increased the number of police officers. We are told about forensics. It's unfortunate that in the case of James Buru Kariuki, his disappearance was reported on the 8th of January, and the report from Safaricom says that his phones were switched off on the 26th of January, which means it's 18 days later. So there is a lot of information that is not there, and I would like to get some clarity from the committee. Lastly, on the motor vehicles, I think we've gotten promises many times. I would like to know timelines, because buying motor vehicles is about budgeting and making sure that this is done. So kindly, could the committee tell us when we'll be able to get our motor vehicles? And I'm happy that they've said they'll give us 5 vehicles for patrols. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Do you have any response to those clarifications?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the member has said that all these incidences happen to come from one sublocation, I think the answers given on issues of disappearance, it's always advisable to give police time, because when somebody disappears, sometime you don't even know if they disappear, of course, willingly, or anything could have happened to them. But Mr. Speaker, I believe we give police more time to do the investigations, and as we have seen on the case of David Gitau, the arrest that has already been made, the issue of how the police were able to arrest the suspect is through the IMI number, and I think that indicates that indeed the police are working, and they have indicated that they will continue looking for the other persons through forensic ways. The issue of increased patrols, Mr. Speaker, I think that depends very much on the strength of the police officers in that particular area. And I can tell this House that now that you're going to do the budgeting, as a committee, we are requesting that we get more funding to be able to recruit more police officers, and that will help us to increase the strength of officers in particular areas. On the issue of motor vehicles, as we are aware that initially the government had entered in some contract of hiring the vehicles, and because of some issues, the government now plans to buy motor vehicles. And I can assure you, I can assure the member that this problem of motor vehicles is across the country, and as promised through the Minister for Interior, you'll be able to get the vehicles that are promised for your particular area. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order. Hold on. Yes, Bowen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sometime last year, around November, I drafted a question on the issue of Parliamentary Service Commission, especially the oversight. And Mr. Speaker, this is something I want to ask your indulgence and also advice. At the same time, also give us a direction, because it is also a constitutional question. Mr. Speaker, the Article 95, Sub-Article 5B of the Constitution provides the National Assembly a function of oversight, Mr. Speaker.
You're saying you already asked that, requested for that statement?
No, I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, I did draft that question before the table office, and I signed the statement, and up to now I have not seen that statement. And that's why I'm saying I'm seeking your direction, because it is also a constitutional question.
Drop a copy of your statement to the clerk. It will be dealt with. and processed.
It's okay, Honorable Speaker, because it was to do with the oversight of Parliamentary Service Commission, because we have concerns as members, and when we talked with our colleague, the chair of members' welfare, Mr. Speaker.
In any case, Honorable Bowen, if you take your seat, if you are here when we were starting this session, I did direct the House that questions and statements asked and raised or requested for in the last session lapsed with the session, if you may recall. And I directed and advised that those members whose questions and statements had collapsed that way had an opportunity to go and resurrect them. So all you need to do is, you know, the Resurrection Center. You can go and resurrect the request, then it will be processed in the normal manner. Is that okay? Thank you, Honorable Bowen. Next.
Order number 9, the Pyrethrum Repeal Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to repeal the Pyrethrum Act and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 15 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the legal framework to license and regulate the activities of virtual asset service providers and for connected purposes. Order number 11, motion, consideration of nominees to 37 National Government Constituency Development Fund committees.
Eleven. Musa Sirma.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provision of Section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, Act 2015, and paragraph 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, Regulations 2016, this House approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following 37 constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. Mr. Speaker, I beg to, the names are appended in the order paper from number 1 to 37, starting from Bomet Central Constituency to Yatta Constituency as the 37th. Mr. Speaker, the names of the various committees within in the constituencies so far received, we have now a balance of 74 which are with the board, which they will be able to finish within the next few days. But 16 constituencies have not submitted at all. I want to urge those constituencies to expedite the process and deliver those proposals they want to be approved by the House so that we can be able to bring them and gazette them together. Mr. Speaker, we are also, as members of Parliament from the various constituencies, are still requesting that the funding so far, we are way back from the list which was brought here last week from Treasury. We are late by 3 months, which translates to 21 billion. Mr. Speaker, we want the Minister for Finance to take keen interest in the development of the various schools and the developments which have been earmarked for development. We are almost closing the financial year, and here we do not have money. So, Mr. Speaker, as I close to say that we approve the names, I want to ask Honorable Wamboka to second this motion. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Honorable Sirma, you end by saying, I beg to move.
Yes.
And request whichever member you want to second.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that these names be approved, and I ask Honorable Wamboka to second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the move by Honorable Musa Sirma that indeed CDF needs
For the record, Honorable Wamboka, you are seconding a motion, not a move.
I rise to second a motion.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know you have been here longer, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
I second the motion by Honorable Sirma. We need to operationalize our CDF offices by ensuring that we have the legally certified people in these offices, Honorable Speaker. I will just call upon the Attorney General that once we have approved these names, they move and gazette so that they can move and start working, Honorable Speaker. Two, Honorable Speaker, on the CDF aspect, for some time now, Treasury has been playing with this House. And as an assembly, Honorable Speaker, we must be firm. It becomes worse and gets worse, Honorable Speaker, when they use you as a shield, Honorable Speaker. That every other time when members are aggressive, they want them to deliver on their timelines, Honorable Speaker, they come and in a way plead with you to come and talk to us, which, Honorable Speaker, we accept. But they don't live by the part of bargain, Honorable Speaker. As we speak, most students in our universities are starting exams this week, Honorable Speaker. We do not have money for bursaries. It is a crisis, Honorable Speaker. Treasury is not responding. They have given us promissory notes and that have expired, and now they don't have a face. I want to call upon members of this House that we freeze any operations, any business of this House, and we call the Minister for Finance to come and give us CDF money in full, Honorable Speaker. As we speak, we cannot even go to our constituencies because the questions we are being asked, Honorable Speaker, we do not have answers. But we have a minister who's been one of us. Apparently, I don't know, when you cross the other side, because we don't know what happens the other side, when immediately members cross the other side, they completely forget the problems of Wananchi on the ground. So, Honorable Speaker, I am appealing to this House, Honorable members, that we freeze the business of this House for the sake of children of Kenya, that we cannot transact. We cannot continue transacting, Honorable Speaker, because people want to lynch Honorable Sirma. Sirma has no answers. Sirma is equally suffering the way we are suffering, Honorable Speaker. Members, I want to appeal that let's suspend this sitting until we have Honorable Mbadi to come and give us the money in full. And Honorable Speaker, for now, we want to appeal to you that remove that shield they have been using, because they know we respect you, Honorable Speaker. They come through you. Tell Mbadi to come and tell us where is the money. Honorable members, as I second, I move that we freeze the business of today and we continue after Mbadi has given us money. Thank you. I second, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, for the record, before I propose the question, since last week's mention of a similar issue and the concern that the distinguished member for Bumula is raising, I directed the clerk to get in touch with the PS Finance. I also directed the majority leader to get in touch with Treasury. And as I proposed the question and subsequently put the question, I direct the majority leader to bring a statement to the House tomorrow at 2:30 to assure the House on the levels of disbursements of CDF so that your constituencies can continue functioning. Paralyzing the House may be too drastic and may not necessarily solve the problem, Honorable Wamboka. Hold your horses to tomorrow 2:30. I have to propose.
Honorable Speaker,
order.
Can we just have the minister here instead of having a response? Can you just direct, for the sake of this House, because I have also put your name at disrepute, Honorable Speaker. If we didn't know you as your members, we would be having problems with you. But now we know you and have been using you as a shield. Can we have Honorable Mbadi here tomorrow, Honorable Speaker, with due respect?
I'll direct the majority leader to search for and find the Honorable Mbadi and deliver him to the House at 2:30 tomorrow. Honorable members, I'll now propose the question at order number 11, which that pursuant to the provisions of section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraph 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following 37 constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. The 37 constituencies and all the nominees are set out in the order paper. I put the question, and I put the question at order number 11, which is that pursuant to the provisions of section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraphs 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following 37 constituency committees of the National Constituency Development Fund as set out in the order paper for both the constituencies and the nominees. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 12, motion, consideration of Senate amendments to the Houses of Parliament Bicameral Relations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2023.
Honorable members, as we go to order number 12, once we dispose of order number 12, the manner in which we dispose of order number 12 will determine the fate of order number 13. Then we have order number 14, which I'm told is a very short order. After that, I'll direct that we reorganize the order paper to move order number 17 to precede order number 15, and thereafter we shall move sequentially as listed on the order paper. Chepkonga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to move that the Senate amendments to the Houses of Parliament Bicameral Relations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2023 be now considered. Mr. Speaker, this is a bill that originated from this House. This is a bill that contains a raft of proposals, Mr. Speaker, to guide the bicameral relations between the two houses. Mr. Speaker, I will be requesting the House to agree with the Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs to reject the proposed amendments from the Senate. Because those amendments, Mr. Speaker, water down the bill and seeks to amend the Constitution through the back door. Mr. Speaker, just to recast what were the issues that were contained in the bill that we passed in this House. Mr. Speaker, this bill was first published in 2023. And Mr. Speaker, the bill sought to amend, sought to give effect to Articles 109, 110, 113, 114, and 118 of the Constitution to foster the bicameral relations by prescribing procedures for ensuring seamless consideration of the legislative business of both houses of Parliament. In particular, Mr. Speaker, the bill sought to outline a framework to implement Article 110 of the Constitution, which has been a basis of disputes between the two houses. As you know, Mr. Speaker, this particular article has been of serious and tremendous contention between the two houses as to the manner in which we should consider various bills in light of Article 110(3) of the Constitution. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the bill that was sent to the Senate proposed parameters for the speakers of Parliament to consider when determining whether a bill concerns county government. And thirdly, the bill sought to encourage collaboration by permitting co-sponsorship of bills between members of the National Assembly and the Senate. It also outlines procedures for joint proceedings, mediation, and joint committees of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, there has not been a procedure in the standing orders of both houses, the National Assembly and the Senate, that allows members of both houses to sponsor a bill, to co-sponsor a bill. As it is, like for instance, we were seeking to co-sponsor the constitutional amendment on the entrenchment of the various funds in the Constitution. But the standing orders do not allow members of the other house to co-sponsor that bill with us, Mr. Speaker. And fourthly, the bill proposed that was passed and sent to the other house for joint public participation. As you are aware, Mr. Speaker, the various committees have been, this house has been conducting public participation on a number of raft of bills. And the other house, the Senate, Mr. Speaker, considers also the bills that touch other house. And they restart the whole process of Article 118, wasting public funds. And so this bill was seeking to introduce a procedure for ensuring that we do not duplicate public participation in an effort to pass a number of bills. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the bill also required both houses, to adopt what we call alternative dispute resolution. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, there has been a rush by the other house in many instances to seek court's interpretation on a number of issues that this house has passed. This house has never taken the Senate to the judiciary or to judicial process. Mr. Speaker, instead of us sitting down and agreeing on our issues, Mr. Speaker, the Senate has been rushing to the courts of law to seek protection from the judiciary, which is another arm of government, instead of people seeking to resolve their issues that are of interest to the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, this has been completely out of order, and this bill sought to resolve those issues, Mr. Speaker. And having considered the amendments, having the Department Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, having considered the amendments, they are proposed to reject the amendments as proposed by the Senate. And Mr. Speaker, I will be requesting the Honorable Murugara to second this particular motion, and he will give the reasons for proposing the rejection. I have gone through the report, Mr. Speaker, and the report, Mr. Speaker, is very succinct and very cogent in the reasons that they are provided for the rejection of the proposed amendments to the bill that was approved by the House. Honorable Speaker, I am in complete agreement with that report. Mr. Speaker, so that we do not spend a lot of time, I just want to truncate to what I consider to be very important. Mr. Speaker, in the appeal, in the recent decision by the Supreme Court, arising from an appeal from the Court of Appeal by the Senate, in which it had sued the National Assembly on a number of bills that had been passed by this House without referring them to the Senate, in which we considered, Mr. Speaker, that there were bills that had nothing to do with the county governments. And Mr. Speaker, they took us to the High Court in the first instance. And the High Court invalidated 23 acts of parliament that had been passed by this House. The Court of Appeal similarly also made an attempt to invalidate those legislation. But when we go to when the appeal went to the Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court, in its decision and finding, found that 21 acts of parliament had nothing to do with the Senate, including the National Constituency Development Fund. They found these particular legislations to have been within the remit of the National Assembly. And so, Mr. Speaker, the various orders that were sought by the Senate were all summarily dismissed, Mr. Speaker. And I just want to mention, for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Speaker, the orders that were sought and were dismissed by the Supreme Court. That they sought that a mandatory injunction be issued against the National Assembly from considering bills that touch on county and that have not been referred to the National Assembly. Number two, Mr. Speaker, they sought to invalidate 21 acts of parliament to be unconstitutional. The Supreme Court found that the 21 acts of parliament were indeed constitutional, and they rejected that particular request by the Senate. The Senate, the Supreme Court also found that the Senate had no role in the origination, consideration, and enactment of money bills, Mr. Speaker, as per Article 110 of the Constitution. And fourthly, they found also that the National Assembly has the exclusive role in the origination, consideration, and enactment of money bills, Mr. Speaker. And finally, this was the order of the Supreme Court, that the constitutionality of the Parliamentary Service Act was not in issue and could not therefore be considered by the Supreme Court, and that was left for the determination by the High Court. Mr. Speaker, the findings of the Supreme Court, which I have just mentioned, are therefore critical to the consideration of the Senate amendments that have been proposed to this House, Mr. Speaker. And those amendments, Mr. Speaker, ran afoul and completely in contravention of the finding and the decision of the Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker. I wish to laud the Supreme Court for the stoic decision and guidance that they have given in finality, Mr. Speaker, and setting the record straight in ensuring that there is a harmonious relationship between the two houses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to mention this in closing. Mr. Speaker, recently we passed a request from the IEBC selection panel in which they sought for an extension of 14 days. This House passed that request, Mr. Speaker. When it went to the Senate questioned the manner in which that proposal was sent to this House. In fact, they said that the Speaker of this House ought not to have received it and ought not to have forwarded to the House. Mr. Speaker, this request was made to the Speaker in his capacity as the chairman of the Parliamentary Service Commission. So to question the law in which both houses passed, Mr. Speaker, I found it to be a zero-sum game and argument by the Senate. And in fact, seeking to impeach the character of the Speaker. I found it, Mr. Speaker, to be completely out of turn, throwing tantrums that were completely unnecessary. In fact, the mover of that particular request, the Senator, my very good friend, Senator Kalwale, said he doesn't even know why he was moving it. And yet he was moving it, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I thought a little bit, and I thought, is it a joke or something like that of the century? That someone is moving a request and he says he doesn't know why he's moving it. And they eventually passed it, Mr. Speaker. So, you know, some of these things that are completely contradictory, that this bill was seeking to bring to rest. And so, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to request this House that we completely agree with the proposals of the Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs to reject the amendments that have been proposed by the Senate, because it seeks to amend the Constitution through the back door. They are seeking to amend Article 109(3) of the Constitution. They are seeking to amend Article 114 of the Constitution. They are seeking to amend Article 110 of the Constitution that gives power to this House. Mr. Speaker, we were not proposing this bicameral relations bill so that the Senate proposes amendments that will water down the constitutional provisions without amending the Constitution. If they want to amend the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, let them bring them the proposed amendment to the Constitution. And they must comply with the requirements of amendments to the Constitution. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the Honorable Murugara to second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to second this motion and advise the House that when the vote is called, we will be rejecting that motion, that the proposed amendments by the Senate should not be considered, such that those amendments will actually be lost and the motion will also be lost. Mr. Speaker, sir, I must start by stating that I have read the judgment of the Supreme Court delivered on the 21st of March 2025 while we were away on short recess. And allow me, Mr. Speaker, sir, to laud the Supreme Court for having resolved a dispute that had dragged in for 6 years between the two houses of Parliament. This was an excellent piece of work from the Supreme Court, and they deserve a pat on their backs for having resolved this and having clearly stated what should go to the Senate and what should not go to the Senate. It is unfortunate that for 6 years, there was a duel in the courts between this House, the National Assembly, and the Senate on the interpretation of Article 1110, especially sub-Article 3 of the Constitution, which requires the two houses to resolve any question where a bill concerns a county government or county governments, or it does not. From this particular decision, it was most bizarre that the interpretation by the Senate was that all bills have to be taken to the Senate, even bills that have nothing to do, no single provision concerning county governments. And this is what they are trying to do again. We will show with the intended proposed amendments by the Senate that they are actually going on the wrong tangent. This interpretation by the Senate was not only erroneous, but also ignored the existence of Article 109 of the Constitution, which provides that bills that do not concern county governments need not be considered by the Senate, but have to be considered by this House only. Therefore, this judgment is commendable in that it has settled that long dispute of 6 years and has clearly expressly provided what falls under Article 110, sub-Article 3 of the Constitution, and that it's only bills that concern counties that possibly will have questions rising, which questions have to be determined by the two speakers. Article 96 of the Constitution clearly states what the mandate of the Senate is, which is to represent and protect the interests of the counties, and especially in the matters legislation, in the matters parliament. It is the legislative mandate of Senate which is limited to only bills concerning county governments, and not all bills as the Senate has tried to make us believe and was trying to make the courts to believe, which was rejected by the courts. There are obvious bills which must be taken to the Senate, and especially and including money bills. And what we have in mind include division of revenue and county allocation of revenue bills. Those ones go without gainsaying to the Senate, and where a question arises, the two speakers have to resolve. Honorable Speaker, sir, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee has keenly scrutinized the amendments proposed by Senate, and having carefully looked at them, we call for a rejection of those particular proposals. The reason is that the Senate indirectly tries to perpetuate unconstitutional practice and misconceived arguments which they actually made in court and which arguments were lost. When the drafters of the Constitution actually came up with what we have and which we passed in 2010, they had in mind a bicameral parliament that was to work seamlessly and was to be guided by distinct mandates of each house. This is why it took time to make provisions on what the National Assembly would do and what the Senate would do in turn. We also have the fourth schedule where it is clearly defined which house is supposed to do what, and the functions are clearly demarcated between the national government and the functions of the county governments. Therefore, I wonder why anyone would ignore these very well thought out constitutional provisions, and we had to waste 6 years out there in the courts battling it out on what should go to the Senate and what should not go to the Senate. And having carefully read the judgment of the Supreme Court, having looked at their paragraph 95, which is in black and white, it now goes unquestioned where the concurrence process should be sought. And having looked at this, having looked at the proposed amendments, we are left with no option but to urge this House to reject those proposed amendments. We oppose this motion and let everything from the Senate fall by the wayside. We will go to a mediation after that, and we will demonstrate to the Senate what exactly the Constitution says, what exactly we painstakingly went through when we were coming up with the report on the Bicameral Relations Act or Bill, which Honorable Chepkonga had actually taken pain to draft and urge it through this House to success. As I conclude, let me take you to what the Senate is proposing. Senate, as regards clause number 6, is actually proposing the following. Delete the entire of clause 6 and substitute therefore the following new clause. Clause 6, 1. Before a bill is read a first time in the House originating the bill, the Speaker of that House shall, pursuant to Article 1103 of the Constitution, invite the Speaker of the other House jointly to resolve the question on whether the bill is a bill concerning counties or a special bill or ordinary bill. What the Senate is proposing is that before any bill is read in this House, first and foremost, the two speakers must burn the midnight oil, must spend time, must also expend national resources in trying to sort out whether the bill concerns counties or not. May it be clear, and it is known to this House, there are bills which have nothing to do with the counties and have nothing to do with the Senate. And therefore, the Senate should not be calling upon us to waste our time, to waste resources, and possibly even energies, debating on whether a bill concerns a county or does not. Therefore, the entire of this proposal is a bad proposal which must be rejected. And had I more time, I would actually go through the entire proposed amendments from the Senate, which we are saying none of them qualifies to be considered by this House. Therefore, with those very many remarks, I beg to second the rejection of the amendments from the Senate and also the rejection of this motion. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I now propose a question that the Senate amendments to the Houses of Parliament Bicameral Relations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2023, now considered. Yes, Pokose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support the position taken by the committee on the consideration of the Senate amendments to the House of Parliament Bicameral Relations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, I also want to make my contributions to the Supreme Court judgment. Honorable Speaker, apart from the determination of the issues of application of Article 110(3) of the Constitution and Article 114 of the Constitution on money bills, the Senate also sought the invalidation of 23 Acts of Parliament which had been enacted by this House as stated by the Honorable Jepkonga. The Acts of Parliament, Honorable Speaker, sought to be invalidated on grounds that they were enacted without the participation of the Senate, included several appropriation acts that had already expended money for provision of public services to the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, the Senate also sought to invalidate the National Youth Service Act and the Kenya Coast Guard Act and several statute law miscellaneous amendment acts for several years. Honorable Speaker, I give these examples to just illustrate how far the dispute of the legislative mandate of the Senate had gone to an extent of almost throwing this country to a crisis by seeking invalidation of key acts of parliament that touch on critical sectors of the country. Honorable Speaker, I'm therefore pleased to note that the Supreme Court judgment has averted a definite crisis by upholding the constitutionality of the 21 acts of parliament. Though, Honorable Speaker, this has taken 6 years, and I hope that going by this, in future, the court should be able to move fast with speed, because justice delayed is justice denied. The Senate amendments, as supported by the chair of the of the Justice and Legal Affairs, Honorable Murmukaru, do not align to this guidance of the Supreme Court, considering that those amendments which are being made, where you have to seek the approval, the two speakers have to spend time to determine whether this is a bill concerning counties or not. Already the drafters of the bill will already indicate whether it is concerning counties or not. And therefore, spending time to decide as whether it is concerned the counties or not is a waste of time, and I think that is not the direction that we should be able to take. Honorable Speaker, wasting time and arguing between the Senate and the National Assembly eats into the expectations of many Kenyans, because the country is waiting for Parliament to be able to enact laws that will give service to the people. And therefore, any delay in arguing to determine whether this is a bill that should have originated from the Senate or the National Assembly denies the services to the people. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support the committee's position and oppose any of the amendments by the Senate. Thank you.
The Majority Leader, followed by the Honorable David Ocheng.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to support the committee's position on consideration of this business, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as the mover, Honorable Chepkonga, has said in his movement of consideration of this bicameral relations bill, many of the amendments, Honorable Speaker, that have been proposed by the Senate have been overtaken by time. Honorable Speaker, it's important to note that the House, in consideration of all the amendments passed by the Senate, also, I believe by the time the committee was considering, the Supreme Court ruling had not come out. But the Supreme Court ruling is now out. And I must take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to note with great appreciation the great work done by the judges of the Supreme Court in arbitrating in a matter that should never in the first place have ended up in court, leave alone finding its way all the way to the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya. Because, Honorable Speaker, these are issues that between the two houses we should have been able to resolve. But, Honorable Speaker, in the book of Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, somewhere that Okonkwo noted the need or the desire to celebrate all your achievements, irrespective of whether other people are celebrating or not. And he said that the lizard that jumped from the high Iroko tree to the ground had to celebrate and praise himself if no one else did. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we are at such a point that the National Assembly, having jumped from the big Iroko tree, whether anybody else praises us or celebrates us, we must celebrate this House for our fortitude and our commitment to the word and letter of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya as enacted by Kenyans in 2010. Because we are vindicated by the Supreme Court, Honorable Speaker, that indeed the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya as enacted in 2010 and passed resoundingly by Kenyans gave particular mandates to both houses, appreciating that we are now in a bicameral system of parliament, but also gave specific functions and duties to each of the two houses. And that's why I said, Honorable Speaker, we have gone through a painful 6 years. And many of us agonized over the years on why we need to be fighting in court between us and the Senate. And Honorable Speaker, you remember there are many, even in the last parliament, because Honorable Speaker, I am lucky that at the time these 23 acts of parliament were passed, I was a member of this House. And through the agonizing 6 years, there are many members of this House also who almost gave up and would often question the leadership and the Speaker of the House on the need to be fighting in court. And some even suggested, why don't we just reenact these laws again and send them to the Senate? But there are many of us, Honorable Speaker, truly believing in the position espoused in our Constitution, that as much as we have a bicameral parliament, there are specific functions and responsibilities of each house. And the Constitution is clear on what manner of bills should go to the Senate and which ones need not go, Honorable Speaker. And that's why I take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to celebrate the Supreme Court judges, to celebrate this House for staying true to the provisions of our Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know, when we refer bills to the other House, we never do it out of benevolence or pity, or because we would do it just to please people in the other House, or because we are not able to enact laws. We refer bills that ought to be referred to the other House because these are the dictates of the Constitution. And the bills that we do not refer to the other House, we do not refer to the other House because that is what the Constitution dictates. That, for instance, on matters that touch on money bill, and I must mention this, Honorable Speaker, because I know we are in the mediation process of another bill, the National Lottery Bill. Again, I saw the other House, the Senate, attempt to bring in amendments that touch on taxation, Honorable Speaker. Matters that clearly are not under the purview of the Senate, as provided for in our Constitution. Therefore, let me take this opportunity to remind the Chair of the Finance Committee and the Chair of the Sports Committee, who are leading the mediation committee between us and the Senate, that nothing that touches on taxation, on administration of tax, should be considered in those amendments that came from the Senate. Because it was a disingenuous way of the Senate trying to participate in tax matters by introducing amendments to a National Assembly bill and introducing amendments that touch on tax administration and tax matters, Honorable Speaker. So that we get into mediation and now we start haggling over those. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, now that the Supreme Court has set the record straight, and as painful as it has been, Honorable Speaker, because I told you many despaired along the way over these 6 years, but we have learned our painful lesson, Honorable Speaker, of how not to resolve bicameral disputes. Because for 6 years, immense public resources have been spent paying lawyers. Immense time has been spent of our officers in the National Assembly and those in the Senate at a time when our internal lawyers and public officers who work in Parliament would have been doing other meaningful things. They spent time, Honorable Speaker, fighting over this dispute in court. And it was a matter that would have simply resolved without ever having to go to court, Honorable Speaker. But, Honorable Speaker, let me conclude by saying that this Supreme Court ruling is a win-win situation, Honorable Speaker. It is a win for Parliament as a whole. Both houses have now been reminded of our constitutional responsibilities and the limits of our mandates, our respective mandates, Honorable Speaker. It is now clear where our mandate begins and where it ends, and where that of the Senate begins and where it ends. It is now time for both houses to discharge our responsibilities and observe our constitutional limits diligently without need to haggle, without need to throw words at each other. Honorable Speaker, as I said when I began, with that in mind, and in this win-win situation, and this win for Parliament, and a win for the Constitution of Kenya, Honorable Speaker, and institutions that were created by the Constitution of Kenya, including the Supreme Court and the two houses, Honorable Speaker, many of the amendments that have been proposed by the Senate in this bill have been spent because that Supreme Court judgment, as delivered, has dealt in great detail. And those who have taken time to read the judgment will see that the Supreme Court judges did take a lot of their time in considering all the issues. And therefore, many of these amendments are overtaken by time and events, including that judgment. And we should not be taken back to Egypt now. Let us cross the Mediterranean and get out of Egypt, Honorable Speaker, and agree with the committee to reject all those amendments, as the chair said. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable David Ochieng, before you contribute,